Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jed Matz. I'm the CEO of the CRC for Developing Northern Australia. We might kick off and hopefully a few more participants will roll in. Before I get started, just a quick overview of the proceedings for today. So I'll run through some housekeeping, talk about the CRC and how we operate. Then I'll cover key dates for our EOI process, talk about the identified priorities for this process this year, and then go into some detail about how to apply. And then there'll be time at the end for questions. So into the housekeeping, I'm recording the webinar today, so just for your information. If you have any questions, please enter them into the Q&A slot provided through Zoom, and Carla will read each of them to me individually at the end of the presentation, and hopefully I can get through all of them as quickly as possible. And if we can't get to them before the end of the Zoom conference, then we will certainly get to them in writing and email the responses. I also, if you have any technical issues, or just contact Carla, who's sitting next to me, our comms manager, through the chat function. If there's something that's not working, or if you're not able to see a screen or something of that nature, we'll try and fix it up for you. Okay, so this is just to give you a bit of an idea of the area of operation for the CRC, which has been established through the White Paper for Developing Northern Australia. So we do accept research proposals that are being conducted outside that region that you can see there on the map. However, the impact of the research that you're undertaking needs to be predominantly felt or realised within that area of operation. So it's all about where the impact is being felt for us. Our board, CRC, is funded by the Commonwealth, but we're a company limited by guarantee with a board, all of which are made up by people that live and work in Northern Australia. They have some background with research, but they're not researchers per se, with the exception of our chair, Sheridan Morris. Most of them are people that have worked in development or been integral to the development of Northern Australia up till now. And we have people located in Queensland, Northern Territory and Western Australia, as we do have an office here in Townsville, which is our head office, followed by a smaller office in Darwin and one in Broome as well. These are the people that man those offices. So Kristen's our Northern Territory manager, Lindy Swain is our manager out of Western Australia, and Ian Biggs has just commenced with us recently as our Queensland manager. Previously, Kristen was the Queensland manager, but she's relocated to Northern Territory. This is just a very quick snapshot of the strategic focus for the CRC. So everything we invest in is about industry-led research. So it's really important to have industry partnerships as part of your proposals that are undertaking research or extension that de-risks development opportunities for Northern Australia. So that could be in agriculture and food, health service delivery, or traditional owner-led development in either the areas of agriculture or health service delivery. Whilst we do have that focus on traditional owner-led business, it must be in the area of ag and food or health service delivery, not other streams of traditional owner-led business. We invest through supply chain development, innovation, either in new industries or existing industries to increase their productivity, capacity building and knowledge building for traditional owners, and also for communities more generally. Health service delivery, as mentioned above, specifically in the areas of new models of health service, and also mental health and health-seeking behaviours, education and training, which is common for all CRCs to have an education program where we fund PhDs and professional development for researchers, as well as the area where we invest in strategic development and reducing policy and regulatory burdens on the development process and trying to streamline that process as best we can. So the dates for the expressions of interest, Monday the 10th of August was when we opened the program. It's a 6-week open funding call. We publish every question that we get on our website so that everyone has the equal amount of information at hand to enable them to put in the best application they can. So we have a deadline for questions, which is the 23rd of September, so that you know, we don't advantage any one person over another after that date. And then the final time for closure of expressions of interest is 5 p.m. on Wednesday, the 30th of September. So can't stress how important it is to make sure you go online and start filling out your expression of interest form soon, because you know it electronically stamp dates the submission time, and we don't take anything after that 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have any issues or technical problems, you want to make sure you've got time to contact us and get help from us on filling out that form. We only take forms online. So I just wanted to cover off a little bit on you know, the areas that we've been researching so far. We've done situational analyses across most of the established agricultural industries within Northern Australia, including beef, aquaculture, rice, broadacre cropping, forestry, as well as looking specifically at the health service sector, and we've undertaken a situation analysis on that sector. And all of those research reports are available on our website for you to look at, and they've helped shape our priorities for this next funding round, which I'll go through in a little bit more detail in a minute. In addition to that work, we've done some work on the Northern Australian horticulture sector, which is still in development, but some of the preliminary work in that is helping shape our questions for horticulture, and we're obviously looking for further work in those areas of agriculture, horticulture and aquaculture, you know, in developing those sectors further, and we've got some research questions that are shaped around that. So just to give you a bit of a feel for some of the detail around that, and this is all available on our website through the guidelines. Within beef, we're really looking for projects that are, you know, helping to increase the productivity of the beef sector or create value-adding opportunities for the Northern Australian beef industry. Within rice, we're looking to further understand how rice can fit into farming systems within Northern Australia, you know, coexist with cropping, sugar and other crops, broadacre crops, as well as post-farm gate infrastructure needs for that sector, specifically storage and handling facilities that currently don't exist, and also techniques for drying and storing that product. Within aquaculture, again, further analysis of the infrastructure needs are required. That sector has identified significant potential growth, and so with that growth will become needs for, you know, further infrastructure, cold chain storage and the like, and how do we do that in an integrated way with the other sectors as they grow. Further work is needed in that space, as well as further work on disease mitigation in that sector, which is a significant impediment for them moving forward. Within horticulture, we've done work around mangoes, avocados and lychees. So we'd like to further expand our understanding of the horticulture sector when it comes to looking at their infrastructure needs, policy needs, further investment requirements, environmental issues and production capacities and market capacities as well, because we still need to understand more about that horticulture sector. Within forestry, looking at models that can improve engagement with traditional owners, because that's a really important opportunity within the forestry sector, as well as projects which look at silvopastoral options for forestry and pastoral systems working together to make them more profitable more quickly. Within broadacre cropping, really looking to validate some of the crops a bit more at a commercial level still, as well as, again, looking to better understand storage and handling potential or lack of potential for that broadacre cropping sector. So you can see there's some synergies across some of the sectors already as I talk. And as with every open funding call, we are always open to new ideas, new approaches, new solutions, new technologies, new concepts coming through that we haven't identified, because we don't want to, exclude great things that are coming out through innovation that no one's heard of yet, or we're not really aware of through our existing research so far. So, there's that catch-all. If you're not fitting some of our targeted ideas that we've just put in front of you, there's still that catch-all option for new approaches, provided they're helping us move towards the CRC's strategic goals of de-risking potential agricultural development or improving health service delivery. Specifically, when we talk about the health service delivery side of the work, as I said, our situation analysis has really helped inform the work we're doing there. So the next stage of that work is to start to better understand the needs of the community at a regional level and start to map those community needs, and then compare that to the existing service delivery network that exists and see where the gaps are. And once we have a better understanding of the gaps, start to invest in innovating new models that can fill those gaps and meet those community needs, especially in a pan-Northern Australian capacity, sort of looking east to west, as opposed to sort of keeping things in jurisdictions. So, there's a lot of work involved in what I've just said there, but, projects which start to break down the steps of that would be great. Obviously, again, any new models, new care situations or different ways of looking at how we can deliver services to regional remote communities is always welcomed. And we do have a desire to see if there's possibility to create opportunities to export health service delivery to overseas as well, which is that one always splits the room, because we often have people saying we need to do things better at home, but we think there's opportunity to not only do things better at home, but also to take what we're already doing well in Australia and export that, especially in the areas of tropical health. When it comes to traditional owner-led development, we've done some work with NALSMA around looking at models that work more sustainably with traditional owners around development, and there's sort of some clear messages that are coming out of that. So when we're looking at other projects that have helped develop new traditional owner-led businesses, there's some key things to keep in mind. The first is projects which are actually looking at opportunities which don't always specifically look at getting scale at the start. It's about developing an incremental process where the scale might come later on, but ultimately it's more about making sure that the traditional owners are comfortable with the scale that they're taking on and can manage that before it does bring up. So, and probably hand in hand with that is the next point, which is around making sure that the types of development that the traditional owners are looking to work with these new models are related to past employment that they may have had in their community, or traditional use of the land or asset that we're talking about, and that they're actually really interested in developing that opportunity, and not necessarily making it purely about the best economic use of that land asset, but more about what's going to work well with that traditional owner group and what they really want to do with that asset, so that they're invested and they buy into the idea. And then any projects which test new ideas and governance structures, and help us understand how we can create longevity within the traditional owner-led development space is more than welcome. So specifically with your expressions of interest, some of the key eligibility criteria that you need to meet is that, as I said, CRCs are all about industry-led research. So you need to have at least one industry partner as part of the proposal, demonstrating that you've got that industry buy-in, and it gives us more comfort that the research at the end of it is going to be picked up by the industry because they're already partnering with you at the beginning. So we have more confidence that you've got a pathway to impact. And that's one of the things we talk about in our expression of interest form. We're looking for at least one-to-one matched funding. It doesn't all have to be matched with cash. We do match in-kind contributions as well. But the higher the cash contribution, the more favourably it will be viewed over other applications. And I remind you, it is a competitive process. Obviously, as I said before, it needs to fit within either agriculture and food, Northern Health Service delivery, or traditional owner-led business in the area of agriculture and food or Northern Health Service delivery. And the reason we identify that specifically is that we've earmarked a part of our budget to make sure that there's funds for traditional owner-led development because of the importance of that in the whole framework of developing Northern Australia. And as I mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, you must make sure the impact of the research falls in our specific region of Northern Australia. And as I said, it doesn't preclude you undertaking the research down in Adelaide or wherever you need to. You might be based as a research organisation, but the impact, the implementation must be within Northern Australia. So we have a website, crcna.com.au. Get online. All of the information that you're hearing today is there. You must submit your expression of interest online. It makes sure we have uniformity across all the applications and that we know exactly when they are submitted. Don't leave it to the last minute, as I said, because if you have any issues, we can't help you if you've already left it to the last minute. Get online and make sure you get it done early so that if there's a problem, we can contact you or you can contact us and we can work through it. If you have submitted an EOI in the past, you'll be familiar with the process, but I can't stress highly enough to get online, read those guidelines, talk to your project manager in your region, discuss with them what you're thinking, your ideas, contact the office. Those applicants in the past that have engaged with us and talked to us about what they're thinking of doing tend to end up having more clearer concepts and as a consequence get more success during the application process because they've taken the time to understand what we're looking for and shape the research to meet everyone's needs. And this is an investment partnership that we're trying to create here. We're not a grant giving organisation. We're about investing with you in the research and partnering with you and helping you deliver that research as time goes on. So can't stress how important it is to contact us and talk to our project managers as you're developing it. So that's the end of the presentation. We've got plenty of time for questions. So what I'll do is I'll just ask Carla to start reading out the Q&As as they've come in, and if there's any more questions, please type them into the Q&A now, and we'll get back to you.
So Jed, we've just got one at the moment. It's regarding Indigenous cultural IP. So can you please outline frameworks in place to protect Indigenous cultural IP with respect to TO-led development?
Yep, absolutely. Good question. So every project's different, and we don't have a specific set rule about how we do it. it depends on the project. So if there's an existing IP, we would establish that at the beginning, and that would be maintained by the owner of that IP going into the project. If the IP is being created as part of the project, one of the steps of the research project would be to develop an appropriate cost sharing benefit agreement that maintains the IP appropriately with the traditional owners. And so in each instance, there's slightly different processes that we'd go through. But certainly our intention is to maintain that IP with the traditional owners as part of the development of that project.
Great. Can you submit more than one application, and is there a maximum amount of funding that people can apply for?
Sure. First is no, there's no minimum number of applications you can put in. Obviously, the quality of the project is what we're looking for. We've got multiple projects with many research organisations and industry partners. So if you've got more than one idea, highly encourage you to put it in. If you don't put it in the EOI, you never know, how you might go. In terms of the amount to apply for, there's no set minimum or maximum. The amount that we can fund is limited by the amount of dollars available to us. As a general rule, to give you an idea, the smallest one we've done is around 80,000. The largest one is up to about $1 million of our money. And then obviously, some of those $1 million ones have gone out to $4 or $5 million, depending on how much matched and in-kind funding they bring to the table as well. So again, if you've got a bigger sum of money you're looking for, I'd highly recommend contacting us sooner rather than later, so you can start a discussion about how we might work that into the system. We've got $75 million to invest over 10 years. So if you just do the simple math, that gives you a bit of a feel for how much money we might have in any given year to invest in our funding calls.
Can people apply to get funding for postdoctoral positions?
Yes, so we have, in addition to this open funding call, an education program. It's a separate process to fund PhDs, postdocs, stipends, different professional development opportunities for Northern Australian researchers. So that information's on our website as well. I would go there, and then if you see anything of interest, contact us through the website and through calling the office, and we'll try and connect you with those programs.
If someone had if someone was a postdoctoral or had a topic that they wanted to investigate as a postdoctoral student, Jed, would there be opportunity for them to approach industry with their research idea and maybe build a project through that way and sort of build their idea into the industry project potentially? Yeah,
I think it's a good point, Carla, and if you've got an idea and it's not supported by industry, it makes it hard for us to support it as well. So if you come to us with your postdoc work that's supported by industry through maybe in-kind contributions, then it's a better look for us. Yeah.
We haven't got any other questions sort of coming through at the moment, so good. You must have answered everyone's questions up front, Jed.
Sure.
I will also just remind everybody that all of the Q&As from all of our previous webinar sessions are also available on our website. So it's a really good resource to go there, and if you have got questions that you sort of haven't thought about today, but you might want to come back to and ask another time, start at the website, and sort of there's a lot of resources on there that we've developed to try and give people as much information as possible.
So one more question.
Yeah. Are you interested in funding pilot projects that may have regional impact but start with select pilot sites?
Yeah, very good question. Yes, absolutely. Especially, given our budget limitations, if it's a pilot project which is once tried and tested, can be expanded across Northern Australia. That's a model that we'd be really interested in. So, yep, absolutely.
They just have to make sure that they can demonstrate that value.
And also how they can take it from working in one region and expand that out. Yeah.
There's been no other questions that have come through, Jed.
Great. Well, again, you've got the contact details there for us. Please contact the office if you have further questions. I think one more's come through.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is there a preference given to northern researchers?
I think the preference is given to research that is delivering against our strategic priorities. So we do want to build capacity in Northern Australia, but at the first and foremost, we want to invest in research that has impact. So that's what we look at, yeah. So we've never really sort of preferenced any particular researcher or research institution.
Yeah, it's all about where the impact is.
Yeah.
At the risk of, let me go another one through.
Yeah.
Have you supported any aquaculture project in the Torres Strait in the past?
No, not yet. Though I am aware that some people have been developing some ideas up there. So we'd be very open to that. Yeah, absolutely.
And certainly the situational analysis identified the vast opportunity of Indigenous development within the agriculture sector and they did extensive consultation in the Torres Strait as well. Yeah,
that'd be a really good idea and good opportunity to invest in that space.
Have you, can we use funds from other research projects, so NHMRC or MRFF, as the matched funds? So it's a distinction between what the sort of funds are?
Yeah, so as our money is Commonwealth money, so the one sort of money we're not allowed to match is other Commonwealth money. If it's state government money, we can match it. If it's researchers' money, industry's money, or even a philanthropic institution's money, we can match it. Unfortunately, if it's Commonwealth funds, we can't. It doesn't mean that you can't put more Commonwealth funds into a project. We just can't count it as the one-to-one matching, but we still, see it as an important investment into the project, and it just doesn't get to count. One of my KPIs is to go back to the Commonwealth and say I've matched my 75 million over the life of the 10 years. So obviously, we'd need to see other money coming into that project as well. The RDC money, if anyone is familiar with the research development corporations in agriculture, we can match that.
In measuring impact, is this undertaken across an economic, environmental and social basis?
Yeah, so our strategic impacts that we've identified that we're trying to create are increased GDP, increased jobs, increased efficiencies within supply chains, improvements in community wellbeing, whether it be through education or health improvement benefits, and the fifth one is escaping you on our colour. You've got
healthy, happy communities.
Yeah, I think it's good. So yes, it's got an economic flavour and also a community benefit flavour. In terms of environment, everything that we want to look at needs to be done in a sustainable manner in terms of development. So clearly, that's just a non-negotiable in terms of our priorities.
And we're developing an impact tracker that we're going to be implementing for projects in coming months or shortly as well, which is certainly looking across the social, economic frameworks as well as measuring impact. During
the EOI form, you'll be asked, to give a bit of a flavour of how you feel your project will deliver on one or more of those measures that we're holding our CRC against. And is there a time frame that's measured across? That's just a follow-up question. No, I think we accept that some research may not impact those measures straight away, but if you can sort of, when you're completing that part of the form, have commentary around when you think that impact could be created and how, that would help us assess the validity of that claim. Yeah.
Is it possible to seek support like travel expenses to develop project proposals with TOs prior to submitting an EOI?
No, that's not something we can do, unfortunately. But if you do have any issues in that space, we'll do everything we can to try and help facilitate that, either through provision of contacts, or maybe we can talk to you offline about what your needs are and just see how we might be able to help through our networks and through our other contacts.
That's extended to seed funding as well. We can't necessarily fund seed projects for seed funding.
No, I think we haven't done that yet. But as I said, contact us directly if you've got something that you want to talk about in that space, and we might be able to find another avenue or another department of Queensland government, NT government, or WA government that might assist in that process, and we can help people in that space.
That was the last question.
Excellent.
So that I said that a few times though.
Yeah. Give people 5 seconds to get typing. But thank you very much, everyone, for your time. Hopefully that was useful. That's the 3rd webinar we've done in the series. So we got one more question come through.
As a follow-up question around my comment around seed funding, just wanting explanation. So do you want to just kind of give an overview of what we would sort of see as a seed funding?
Well, as we previously talked about, research is sort of along a scale of, initial research all through to applied research. So we would look at projects within that gamut, but we can't fund the development of the project. We can only fund once the project's at an EOI stage. The actual research being conducted, not the development of the idea. So, I think there are other places that we might be able to help people get in touch with, though, that could fund that.
Yeah, so if someone has a strong research question and they know what their research question is, that's worthy of having a discussion with us, even if you don't have all the players necessarily or you don't necessarily know where to look for the industry participants or traditional owner participants. You can certainly come to us with your research idea, and we can sort of have a broader discussion around whether or not that's something that even our team might be able to help progress. Yeah,
and keep in mind it is an expression of interest. So if you're successful at this point, then we work with you to develop the concept, develop the research idea into a full proposal before we go to contract. So, it's a shorter process to fill out the EOI form, hopefully not too onerous. We've tried to keep it as simple as possible, but meet all our requirements. And so I'd highly encourage people just to have a crack, and if you don't put it in, you don't know. So.
No other follow-up questions?
Again, thank you very much for your time, and if you have further questions, please contact us directly.